All right. 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 What is good? What is good? What is good, beautiful people? Of course, you know who I be. Good Doc, Dr. Mike TV. Back again, once again. You should already know that this one here is poised to be an instant classic in the making. If this is your first time to the Dr. Mike TV experience, make sure you subscribe, notify, do all the good things to make yourself well versed in the Good Doc's content. All my stuff shall be listed in the links in the description area below. Man, it's been a day, y'all. I'm not going to hold you, man. It's been a day. And I'm not going to waste time getting to the point. Just work with me. So, today I got an email today from somebody who follows the channel and everything. And I was like, okay, let me hear what my man got to say. Because he was asking me a question and he was asking me to give my honest opinion about something. He was like, yo, Doc, okay, this is the real. I've never traveled outside the United States yet, but I'm looking and I'm interested. But what I'm hearing now is that there's a lot of modernity, or whatever the proper word is, a lot of modern attributes that you find in some women abroad that you find in the United States. So he was like, yo, Doc, if I'm going to travel to a completely different country, but still have to deal with the same bullshit, why travel? And he says, I want you to be honest with me. I know that you are a proprietor of sorts, or you are a believer in the philosophy of passport brethren movement. And I myself, speaking about the guy who sent the email, he's like, I myself believe in it as well. I never really had issues dating in the United States, but I do want to see what else is out there for me. But if I'm gonna run into the same shit, why do I want to travel abroad? And I was like, bro, that is a great question. So good, I wanted to bring it live to my gentleman. So I answered him in a way that I never thought that I would answer in my life. I think I said this one time before. I think I was going to create a video behind this entire topic. I don't believe I ever got that video out. But I said it to him like this. I said, look, I cannot determine what your experiences are going to be like abroad. My experiences abroad have been fantastic. A lot of guys who follow the channel, a lot of guys who subscribe to the philosophy of going abroad, doing all that shit, a lot of guys have a lot of positive things to say about a life overseas. But there's one thing that nobody really talks about that I really think is by far one of the greatest things about going and traveling abroad. And here it is, ladies and gentlemen. This might blow your mind a little bit. I don't know if anybody's ever said it, but I'm going to tell you this. And it might go against the grain a little bit, which is why I wanted to bring it to the audience. But I told him, I was like, look, fam, if it doesn't work out, you can always go back home. And when I said it, I wasn't really thinking about it when I said it. But then when I said it, I was like, that's kind of profound to an extent, because a lot of guys are talking about going overseas, never going back home, and fuck all this shit. Fuck the women in the United States, da-da-da-da-da. I'm not going back home, whatever. But very few people will tell you that if it doesn't work out, guess what? The United States is not going anywhere. Every guy that I've talked to, every guy that I've dealt with, every guy who has a profound experience abroad, the majority of them know the value of dealing with women overseas. Now, is he wrong to say that this modern aspect of living in the West and all of that stuff has not crept its way into places overseas like the Philippines? No, he's not wrong. He's not wrong at all. Matter of fact, I can tell you, yes, he's absolutely right. There are a lot of women in overseas countries that have subscribed to quote unquote modern philosophy, right? Man, take care of everything. We use men for money. Whatever you think modern philosophy is, you throw it in there, interject. You're going to probably find somebody in a foreign country that believes the exact same thing, right? Exposure to social media has made it a thing. I do believe that the internet, and a lot of people say this, social media has made the world very, very small. As in, if I wanted to, I could talk to somebody in Russia tomorrow or in Africa tomorrow where I'm sitting at, right? So the world has become very small by the click of a button, right? And like my wife, she's got friends all over the United States now that she talks to on Twitter, and friends from things that like-minded people that she's met all across the world, Brazil and other places too. So it does make the world small. And although that's a positive aspect of what the internet and social media has done for us, let's keep it a buck, ladies and gentlemen, it hasn't necessarily made it easy for guys to find and date abroad, especially if some of the women have subscribed to the modern philosophies, right? So when I told him that you can always go back home, he responded and said, you know what? That's probably the best answer I ever heard. And I wasn't thinking it was a great answer. It was just something that came to mind. But he was like, yeah, if it don't work out, like I can always deal with women in the United States and there wouldn't be a problem with it. And it brings me to my question. If modern women exist overseas, then why travel? The question of why travel, why do you want to go overseas? What would be the benefit and all that stuff? You can go through a plethora of videos and find out yourself, or you can go see for yourself. Again, I can't tell you that your experiences is going to be like mine. I can't tell you that your experiences are going to be like any other YouTuber, TikToker, IG person, influencer, whatever you want to call them. I can't tell you that your experiences are going to be like theirs either. But what I can say is only you can live your experience. Only you can come back with your own determination about what it is that you enjoyed about being abroad. You can say you hated it, right? I'm not going to sit there and tell you that going abroad is for everybody, because it's not. 100,000% it is not for everybody. When I first got to the Philippines and I got to see what a third world country actually looked like, is it a culture shock? You bet your ass. But was it easy to adjust to? After a while, you just get used to certain things, right? Same can be said about Thailand. Same can be said about Japan. There are certain cultural things that you're going to have to adjust to if you choose to go to the Middle East, right? I've always been a big advocate, a big fan of government contract work in places like, the Middle East, whether it be Dubai, Abu Dhabi, whether it be, Brunei or places like that. My pops was in Jordan for a little bit. See, there are certain things about going overseas that are appealing. And one of those things is the amount of money that you make, how much of it you get to keep, right? How much you got to claim in the United States. I mean, so there's a lot that goes into it. But the beautiful aspect about it all is, like I said before, if it don't work out, you can always take your ass back home, right? But another thing is, when I say that it doesn't work out for everybody, or that overseas is not for everybody, you got to understand that there are ways that you have to conduct yourself. No different than the story that we covered the other day about the young lady who got arrested for yelling in public, being a female that got in trouble for yelling in public. I don't know what she was yelling about in particular. But what I do know is that when it comes to being overseas, if you ain't got no act right, that's the easiest way to put it. If you don't know how to act, or if you have a way in you that you can't change because it's who you is as an individual, then I'm going to tell you the truth, fam. You might as well just go ahead and stay where you at. Because there's a lot of things that you can get away with in the United States, and I'm going to tell you 100,000% sure it ain't going to fly overseas. It's just not. But speaking on the modern women, modern women existed on overseas places, there are going to be some young ladies that you're going to run into, right? We could talk about the ones that you meet online. We could talk about the ones that you meet on these social sites, whatever it is. Usually it's the ones that you meet online that'll probably give you that type of energy. Or if you're a club goer, a person that likes to go to the club and hang out in bars and stuff like that, I'm not going to hold you, man. You might want to hold your breath on them being marriage material, or somebody you would want to take home to mother. You might want to hold your breath just a little bit, because you don't know. Maybe you found the one young lady in the bar that got drugged out to the bar because her friends wanted her to have some fun. You might get lucky enough to find the one girl that really didn't want to be at the bar, but she got brung out there because her friends encouraged her to go. Maybe she just got over a breakup and her friends were like, oh, we should go out to the club. It's going to be fun. And you just so happen to be that one girl that's not really a regular club goer, right? She ain't smoking. She's not drinking. She's not doing none of the normal activities that you would find in the club scene. You might get lucky, but I'm not gonna hold my breath. And I'll tell you right now, you shouldn't hold your breath either. So if you ask your question, if I had to ask the question again one more time to the audience, why travel? I would love for you guys to leave it in the comment section below, because I would love to hear what you guys have to say. But one thing that I also want to make sure that I note is traveling should not necessarily be just for the women, but I'm not stupid. Y'all gonna travel for the females. Like, let's not act like we're trying to hide something. You're going to travel because you want to see what the women like are in overseas countries. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you say. Everybody, and I mean everybody who has ever had questions about a life overseas, more specifically in the Philippines, because that's where I was, everybody, top 3 questions. One of them is going to be about the women. You can ask me about the food. You can ask me about the location. But then those top 3 questions, you're going to start asking me about females. It don't take very long. And it's okay, because I would be dumb to sit here and tell you that I know that a lot of guys travel just for the females. It's not about the culture. It's not about the food. It's not about immersing ourselves in the yeah. That's all good. And yes, I encourage you to do so. But yeah, y'all going for the females. And that's cool. Don't sit there and act like Doc is going to treat you any different because you're traveling for females. Because that's what the majority of guys do anyways. But I do want to make sure that I preface this. And I do want to make sure that I tell you this. If that's the only reason you're traveling, I do believe that your time abroad is gonna be boring, and it's gonna come to an end very quickly, or the excitement's gonna come to an end very quickly. Why do I say that? Because as a man, I do believe that there's only so much fun and activities you could do with the young ladies there before it starts to become mundane and repetitive. If all your focus is how many girls can I bag, how many girls can I get, and all that stuff abroad. You have to want more out of your experiences overseas. Okay, that's what I will say. You have to want more for yourself, and you have to want more for your life overseas. You have to want more, because if you don't want more than just banging out a whole bunch of females, that's cool. But how long do you honestly think that's going to last you? That type of energy. Like, honestly, how long do you think that's going to last? 6 months, maybe a year max, before you start to realize that, okay, I've had my fun, I've had my fill. What else is there for me? How long do you honestly think it's going to last for you? I would love to hear how long you think that you can go to any country. It doesn't necessarily have to be the Philippines. It could be anywhere in the world, and you just go for the females and you have your fun with the females. How long do you think that fun is going to last you before you start to get bored, before you start to want something more? I just want you to I want you to marinate on that one. I want you to keep that in the back of your mental, because I know that the fun that comes with it. Is it fun? Absolutely. Will you get bored quickly? Probably. Because you got to want more for life than just that. So when it comes to why you travel, you got to understand your why. That is very true. You have to understand your why. What is your why? Why do you do this? If you just feel like a life overseas, don't matter exactly where you choose. If you feel like a life overseas is exactly what you want, exactly what you prepare for, exactly what you feel works best for you, then you're going to figure out all of the reasons why that shit works for you. Right? Whether you start jotting down, whether you start taking notes, you're going to do your pros and cons. You're going to understand, why is it that I want to be here? Why is it that I feel like this is the place for me? Again, whatever place you choose, you're going to have to understand your why real quick. Because if your why is all about the women, like I said, I give you 6 months before you burn out. Hell, probably 3. Depending on your frequency of activity, I give you about 3 to 6 months before it's a burnout, before it becomes a bust. Now, like I said, if you're willing to pace yourself a little bit, and you found a couple of other activities to engage in that don't really involve being around women, I give you about a year. Especially if you circle around back to just being with the women. So again, understand your why, ladies and gentlemen. And like I said, modern women exist everywhere. How to avoid them? You can't. You can't avoid them because they're always around. But one thing that I can say that you can do, you ain't got to fuck with them. They gonna be there, but you ain't got to worry about them. You ain't got to worry with them. I do believe that if you're gonna deal with a young lady from the city, city girls and shit, you know what they are. your high percentage chance of dealing with a young lady that comes from that type of energy, the modern energy, high percentage chance, right? Depends on where you find them at. If you're in the bars and you're in the clubs and you jamming like that, or you're online and you're quick to meet up and skeet up, and that's what it is, you got to understand what it is that you're working with. You got to understand what it is that you're exposing yourself to. All right. I would, however, want to pose the question for anybody who makes it this far in the live. Are you more likely to find young ladies that are the promiscuous ones by nature, or the ones that have the more modern energy? You're more likely to find them in the city or more likely to find them in the province? Of course, the answer will be city. But does that mean that the young ladies that come from the provincial areas aren't exposed as well? Personally, I believe that there is exposure, but it's minimal at best, depending on what particular province they come from, how they choose to utilize their time. If they're on, going to your internet cafes, paying a little 10 pesos to motherfucking listen to some TikTok videos or whatever, because they ain't got their own cellular device or whatever it may be. If they're spending all their time in internet cafes and on their phones, chances are you run that risk. But I would say that the young ladies from the city area are likely to hit you a little bit different than the young ladies from the province. But like I said, it could go either way, man. You just got to be careful. But in the end, like I said, I want you to make sure you focus on your why you travel. And yes, if modern women are there, you can't avoid them. Just don't talk to them. Like, it sounds easier said than done, but it depends on what you're looking for and what outcome you're looking for. I can't tell you what to do when you get there because, again, you can only do you, fam. I can't do you for you. So as long as you remember that, as long as you remember exactly what it is that motivates you to want to travel in the first place, hold that. Please hold that. Please hold that. If it's women, I hope you got something else in that pocket for you, something else in the pocket. But if it is, man, hold it and hone it. Figure out what it is that you're looking for. A lot of people right now, especially this day and age, man, a lot of y'all ain't looking for girls. Y'all ain't looking for marriage. Y'all ain't looking for relationships of any kind. Y'all just want to have some fun. So again, find your why. Find what makes you tick. Find what motivates you to go overseas. And I promise you, it should be able to sustain you until you're ready to pivot into something new. All right. I ain't want to be on very long, man. I just wanted enough time to come through politic with y'all, have this conversation, and go through email that I got from a subscriber that I thought would be ideal for you guys to hear from, because hey, this is a question that I get a lot from people who don't travel, right? Or people who haven't traveled yet. Because they're not going overseas to want to deal with the young ladies that they're dealing with currently in their particular cities or areas. They want something new. But if they hear that the young ladies overseas are the same, it could somewhat pose a discouraging or disparaging feeling of not wanting to do it, because on top of everybody who probably wants to keep you standing still, aside from that, they may also feel like there's nothing really in it. There's no upside. I'm wasting all my money to go overseas to do this, that, and the other, and there's no upside. And that's just something I want to get off my chest real quick, man. I'm going to let y'all rock, man. It's been a good day. Appreciate y'all locking in. Y'all take care, man. Y'all stay blessed. Doc is out. Peace.